You're good.
Led. Remember, they trailed 16-0. Hurts up the middle. Hurts stretching out. Hurts touchdown. Tie ball game in the desert.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Turf Talk Week 2 edition. I am one of your hosts here on Turf Talk, Dylan Davis. You can give me a follow on Twitter at DylanJD98, and my faithful co-host to my right, Scotty. Give him a follow on Twitter at Scotty Drowned. And of course, as always, Turf Talk is brought to you by DSM Media. So if you're new to the channel, please tap in and hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel and hit that follow button on our Twitter at DSM_media. Scotty, week 2, round 2. How are you feeling today?
I'm good, man. I'm actually matching you this weekend with the mimosas in the morning, so I'm feeling nice. Got an elegant drink this week, not a Bud Light Lime, but I'm feeling good. I'm excited. This is a huge barometer game for the Birds today, and that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. We're going to learn a little bit about Jalen Hurts. I mentioned it on Twitter, learn a little bit about Jordan Mailata, but we'll get into all of that. But overall, just excited and ready to see these Birds take off.
Yeah, man. Adam says, what's going on, guys? Game day, let's go. Yes, sir. I'm jealous, Scott. I'm jealous of the people down at the link. I'm jealous of all those people that got to pull into the parking lots at 6 a.m. It's going to be nuts, dude. That crowd is going to be electric today. And of course, we'll be talking about that and how the role that'll play in today's game as well. But we talking about the Phillies game. We might be able to. We might be back on the train, my dude. The faithful fanatics will be talking about them this week.
It's going to be a crime if Bryce Harper doesn't get MVP, man. It's turning into that.
Yeah, for real. Jock Talk says, good morning, guys. How are you? We are great. Thank you for tuning in and keep the comments flowing. All right, guys, let's get right into it. But before we get into our Eagles 49ers pregame edition of the show, let's talk about some Thursday night football for just a few minutes. Giants, Washington football team, crazy back and forth, crazy ending of a game. NFC East, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know. Scott, me and you were joined by Sam Wagman on the Thursday Night Turf Talk show. And, we kind of said, what are you looking for in Thursday's game? And I had no idea. And I came out of that game knowing nothing. Like, it was a high-scoring game. What was it? 31-29.
30-29.
Taylor Heineke had 30-29. Taylor Heineke had great numbers, but did not look good to me. Daniel Jones made some plays, but did not look good to me. Both teams are a freaking mess. And somehow it was an entertaining game. Jock Talk said it. Those teams both suck, but somehow made Thursday Night Football entertaining. So, Scotty, what was one of your takeaways from Thursday's game?
These teams are so bad that it is entertaining to watch them make mistakes that are just total mental collapse. You look at who was it? Slayton in the end zone drops a pass, right? He's running by himself, but on the other side of it, you have the Washington football team. That's William Jackson at corner, looking totally lost. Like, he started to turn his hips, and Slayton just blew by him. It's like he just didn't even acknowledge the wide receiver that he's covering. So it's like you just look at all these broken plays. You see Daniel Jones take a 45-yard run to the house, and it gets called back. It's just and then obviously at the end of the game, the Giants just kept shooting themselves in the foot. I mean, I think it was Taylor Heineke that he threw the interception at the end of the game, right? And then the Giants go and blow that possession. There's 2 minutes left in the game in your own red zone. It's ridiculous, man. It is ridiculous.
Yeah, dude.
And they don't seem to have at least Washington has Terry McLaurin. That's what I'll say about them.
Yeah, and they also have Antonio Gibson, who they just decide not to use. I don't understand it. Part of that is salt from me for fantasy purposes. Some of that is salt from me for a same game parlay that missed by an Antonio Gibson touchdown, anytime touchdown scorer. But regardless, I don't know. Dude, in the offseason, I heard so much talk about how much he's going to be used and the Christian McCaffrey type role, and he's going to be used in the passing game. They haven't targeted him once throughout 2 weeks. I don't think he has a catch in 2 weeks. And I think he had maybe 10 carries on Thursday night, probably a little more, but he did not have many carries whatsoever on Thursday's game. They had the ball on the 2-yard line. They give it to McKissick. I'm not understanding what they're doing with Antonio Gibson. And yeah, dude, I mean, good. They have Scary Terry.
To your point about Antonio Gibson, it's similar to what, everybody was saying about the Eagles last year with Miles Sanders and, saying that he was going to be the next CMC. And you heard the similar things about Antonio Gibson. Everybody was saying that the Washington football team is going to use him like CMC. No, they're not. They're simply not. He's not getting a full workload like that. And you saw J.D. McKissick, like you mentioned, get about half of the snaps there. Got most of the passing snaps. So they're not using him the way they said they were. I think Antonio Gibson's a great back. I saw some great stuff in the game. And, we were talking throughout the game. All you needed is a touchdown for that parlay. And they just would not give it to him in the red zone. It was odd. He's a big back.
6 legs. 6 legs. I hit 5 of them and missed by an Antonio Gibson anytime touchdown. I feel like I knew I wasn't hitting the moment they gave the ball to J.D. McKissick inside the 3-yard line for a touchdown. And guys, I think I'm having Wi-Fi issues. Scotty's a little bit delayed when he speaks, or let me comment if everything's okay. If not, we'll try to get it fixed over the course of this show. Scotty, do I sound okay? Do I look okay right now?
Yeah, you sound okay. I do hear myself echoing. It's kind of bothering me.
Hold on, we'll try to get this fixed. All right. Better now?
All right. Yeah, we're good.
We're trying to get through. Guys, comment and let me know if you're seeing anything I'm getting on this end. Hold on. Let me see here. All right. Let's bring Scotty. And anything, Scott?
All right. Yeah, you are a little fuzzy.
Perfect. This is awesome. Oh, nice. Trying to get this squared away. It's messing up and breaking up. Oh. Anything? Any better?
You're good on my end.
You're delayed on my end, and I hear a static in the background.
Really? Wow. Let's see here.
So is it my mic? How are we now? Did that fix the problem? Thank you to everyone that's staying in this stream and hanging out with us while we try to get through this. This is awesome. I don't hear the static anymore through the mic.
Okay.
All right, and you're good. The only thing is your voice is a little behind or a little ahead of your words on my end, but we will get through that. Scotty is fine. It's Dylan. Damn it. Good now. All right, we'll try to put through. Thank you for everyone for staying on with us. Scott, let's get into our Eagles San Francisco 49ers preview today. I don't really have anything else to touch on with the Washington football team and the New York Giants. Both teams stink, which I guess if I do have a takeaway, it made me more hopeful for an Eagles division run because I always thought they were better than the Giants coming into this season.
Yeah.
But now I look at Washington and they have quarterback issues, and their defense may not be what everyone thinks their defense is, Scott. So
yeah, that was the promising note from the side of Washington football, is that they gave up 29 points to Daniel Jones, and I'm not sure he didn't have a turnover in that game either, I don't believe.
No, he didn't. No, Taylor Heineke was the only one to turn the ball over in that game. Shout out Matt McGinty for his Taylor Heineke fandom. All right, I hear the mic again, but whatever. Scotty, let's get into this Eagles 49ers game. Let's get into our keys to victory for our Birds today. Well, I'll throw to you. What's your first key for the Eagles to come away with a W today?
First key, I got a couple, but first one off top, take advantage of the 49ers injuries. You got to expose their injuries. They're injured all over their defense. They have, several defensive linemen that are out, several linebackers that are out, several corners that are out. They are scarce in the DB section. And I think the Eagles need to take advantage of that. We've dealt with this the past couple of years where we've been beat up, and I think it's our turn to take advantage of some injuries against the team. Aside from that's more of an obvious one. Win in the trenches. I think this is going to be a game of the trenches. San Fran, they're a team that have a great offensive line. They do still have a stacked defensive line, even with injuries. So definitely going to be a battle of the trenches, and whoever wins in the trenches, I think, wins this game.
I'm with you, dude. That is one of my, obviously Jeremy here says Mailata needs a good day. I believe he will be going back and forth with Nick Bosa. I expect Nick Bosa to play on both sides of the line today, going up against Lane and Jordan Mailata. But this is I think I saw either you tweeted or someone tweeted, this could be a coming out party for Jordan Mailata. He just got the money. We all know the upside and his build and the athleticism and his potential. But you saw it versus the Falcons after his payday. Now, that 49ers pass rush, those linebackers, Nick Bosa, everybody, this could be a coming out party for Jordan Mailata if he has another stellar day. I completely agree with you. To go off of what you just said, 2 points of mine. One of them is attack Jason Verrett's replacement.
Yeah.
There goes my static again. All right, guys, let's try this. Ready? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, I unplugged the mic, so I'm just going off of laptop volume now.
All right, cool. It sounds fine on my end. So
sounds fine. All right. So what I'll say is attack Jason Verrett's replacement because they are thin at corner now. I think I looked it up last week during the Faithful Fanatic show, and as on their depth chart. Now they could go a different way with it. I know they have Josh Norman on their roster, whatever, but on their depth chart, they have a rookie who made 3 tackles last Sunday in his debut versus the Lions. Attack his backup. You're going to have mismatches in the secondary. Use their speed and attack the San Fran secondary because it's the one weakness on right now. I'll put in quotes weakness because we don't really know how weak it is, but attack Verrett's replacement. And just to go off of your trenches comment and winning at the line of scrimmage, that's my number one key is the run game. Find a way to establish the run early in this ball game. Find a way to do it. I don't care if it's Kenny G. I don't care if it's Miles Sanders. Hell, I don't care if it's Boston Scott. I don't care if you got to use Jalen Hurts' legs early. Find a way to establish the run game because then that'll open up everything within this Philadelphia Eagles offense, and it will slow down that pass rush and that aggressive pass rush of this 49ers defense. If the 49ers shut down the Eagles run game today, I don't foresee it being a strong outing for this offense if Jalen Hurts has to drop back 45 to 50 times and try to win this game with his arm. Now, I know that sounds kind of contradictory for me because I just said attack their weak secondary, but you can only attack that secondary if he has time, if the run game's working. So find a way to run it down, not down their throat, but find a way to establish the run successfully early on and then kind of build and use your playbook off of that. So that's my first key. And then obviously attacking Verrett's backup.
Yeah. So they kind of fed, I'm with you right on all those keys. The next one I would go to is simply, the defense. We got to look to the defensive side of the ball. I called it a barometer game earlier. We're going to get to see what these Eagles are really made of. The 49ers are a good team. Like there's no doubting that, especially when they're healthy. They're very good. But what I'm looking at is for our defense to play like a top 10 unit, right? We talked about this before the season. We thought that they had the potential to be a top 10 unit. They have improved at every level of the defense. And, I think in this game, you got to force Jimmy G to beat you. And then once you get to that stage of the game, if you allow Jimmy G to beat you, then this defense isn't as good as we thought it was, because I'm not a big Jimmy G guy. I think we can make him I'm looking for turnovers today, to be completely honest with you. I want pressure in Jimmy G's face. I want him flustered. I want him on his back. And I want turnovers. I want to see something out of this defense. I think this is a game where the defense could really make a statement. All around, there's statements to be made in this game for the Eagles, because everybody's doubting them once again. We came from last week blowing out the Falcons. I get it's the Falcons, but they weren't saying it was the Falcons before we played the Falcons, right? It wasn't the Falcons suck until we beat the Falcons by over 20 points. So, I want a little bit of respect, and this is the Eagles' chance to earn that respect by starting it off at the link. The home field advantage, take advantage of that. Blow the roof off the link, and I think it's going to happen, man. If Devontae Smith gets in the end zone at the link, it's going to be ridiculous.
So I'm with you, and it's funny, guys, because I say this every week. We don't share prep notes. We don't share what our keys to victory are with each other before we go live. It's on air. And the first one I have down, and this one, it's not the same, but it's the other end of the spectrum here. You said it. Make Jimmy G beat you because you don't believe that he will be able to. That is one of my takeaways. Make them one-dimensional. Yep. And that dimension to take away is the run game. Elijah Mitchell is in place of Raheem Mostert. He's out for the year. Trey Sermon didn't even suit up last week, who people in the offseason were talking about he's going to take Mostert's job. So he's not really a factor right now. Watch, he'll go off for 13 carries, 150 today, but he didn't dress last week. So it's really Elijah Mitchell and company. Find a way to eliminate the rushing attack of the San Francisco 49ers and make Jimmy Garoppolo drop back and try to beat you with his arm. Because, listen, I'm not a Jimmy G guy. I'm also not here for the slander. He's a middle-of-the-pack quarterback. He's an average quarterback. Yeah. He's a game manager. Like you said, if you can find ways to make him drop back, force some turnovers from him, now you got the ball moving. That helps your young quarterback, something that Jalen Hurts hasn't had yet as in his very short tenure as the Eagles starting quarterback, is a short field, right? So find ways to turn San Fran over and give Jalen Hurts a short field against a tough San Francisco 49ers defense. So, yeah, dude, it's funny. Our keys are very intertwined so far. Let's see. And then I will go off of that by making them one-dimensional. And my last key, or one of my last keys, is limit Kittle. So within that dimension, limit their number one guy. I know Deebo Samuel had a great big week last week. Brandon Ayuk, I don't even think touched the ball last week for San Fran. They got guys. Look, Kittle is the guy. We know the Eagles' history with tight ends, with big, physical, pass-catching tight ends. Kittle's top two, if not the third best tight end in the entire National Football League. You're not going to stop him. You're not going to shut him down. Find a way to limit George Kittle, and you'll have success, I think.
Yeah, and I was, I guess this is a good plug for tomorrow, because we do have a San Francisco 49ers beat writer.
Hold on. I literally can't hear what you're saying.
You can't hear me?
It's so muffled. Guys, I'm sorry. This show today is not running very smoothly.
What is going on?
And all I heard was static. What is going on? I hear you now.
All right. So what I was saying is a good time to plug in. We'll have a San Francisco beat writer coming on the show to kind of recap the game. And his name's Jordan Elliott. You guys probably saw him tweeting about the bird. He kind of blew up on Eagles Twitter. But as far as, I was talking to a 49ers beat writer, and basically what they were talking about is, how our offensive line is, average. And I'm just seeing the perception. I'm sorry, I'm echoing and stuff. It is really throwing me off here.
Hold on. Let me try this. Scotty, keep the ball rolling. Keep going on your point. I'm going to leave, come back, and see if that fixes the problem.
All right, cool.
Keep this ball rolling.
All right, so we got the solo show now, right? No, but I'm looking to 49ers today. There's a lot of key matchups here. There's a lot of injuries across the board. A lot of stuff that the Eagles got to capitalize on today, as we've been getting into. But as far as just the matchups of the defense, Jimmy G, the Russian attack, as Dylan said, sounds good.
And your voice is up to speed now with me.
Okay, that's weird as hell, man.
Right. I'm gonna try not to screw this up and bring the mic back into play here.
All right. Let's get this technical stuff figured out, and then we'll go from there.
Am I good?
Yes.
All right. Well, I mean,
okay, we're good, man. That's all we needed to do the whole time. Okay. So, where were we just at? Okay.
Kittle, Jordan Elliott is coming on the show tomorrow.
There we go. Okay. So, yes, Jordan Elliott coming on the show tomorrow. Quick plug, San Francisco beat writer. He's very popular on Twitter. He has a lot of great content. And we're looking forward to picking his brain after the game tomorrow. Obviously, he was throwing tweets out, and it got the Philly fans riled up. Me and Dylan agreed. I didn't think anything was too unreasonable. I think from the outside perspective, that's how I would feel. But as far as George Kittle, right? I talked to him, and he was saying how he thinks Kyle Shanahan will plan to expose our linebackers, which, I thought the same thing last week with Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts was the big name coming out of the draft, the highest tight end taken in how long, in the draft. And we came out, limited him. Now, was he part of the game plan? It's hard to say, because you'd imagine Calvin Ridley was part of the game plan last week too, but he wasn't very involved. I'm looking at this San Francisco team. Kyle Shanahan is a different beast. George Kittle is a different beast. They will find ways to get him involved. And to your point, we have to find ways to limit him, whether that's putting a safety over him. I'm not sure, with putting a linebacker on him, to be completely honest with you. That's not going to work. We're going to have to put a safety, put a slot corner on him most of the game, and definitely keep our eyes on him. And to your point about Deebo Samuel, you can't let last week against the Lions take the attention away from Kittle. Don't fall asleep on Kittle just because Deebo Samuel had a monster game against the Lions. At the end of the day, I think our outside corners, I think Slay, Steven Nelson, can have their fair share with Deebo Samuel. I'm not going to worry about that. We need to focus on George Kittle in the middle of that field and make sure that we stop him.
I'm with you, dude. And there's no clear-cut way of how to limit George Kittle. But it's definitely not by throwing one of these Eagles linebackers on him. And I guess it's another Ant Harris job. It's scary because Rodney McLeod is out today.
Yeah.
Marcus Epps is in concussion protocol, so I'm pretty sure he's out today. So does that mean Kayvon Wallace is starting today? I don't know what our safety situation. I'm hearing the muffles again.
Really?
You're not. No one else is. Just
me.
No,
I'm good. Honestly.
Okay. All right. That's fine with me. As long as it's not doing it out there for everybody. So it's going to be very interesting on how they try to play it. Does Avonte Maddox see time on him, do you think?
He played well last week.
Yeah, I don't know. Does Darius Slay or Steven Nelson see some time
maybe
on George Kittle today? I don't know what Jonathan Gannon's game plan is to limit George Kittle, but I know it's got to be done.
Yeah, and so I guess, to kind of ride your coattail on that point, I'm looking to the other side of the field as well. It sounds like, Zach Ertz is in today. We obviously got Dallas Goedert. And I'm looking at last week's matchup between the Lions and the 49ers, and we watched TJ Hawkinson go off on the 49ers come back. And so I'm looking at that, and that's where we got to go to. I know Jalen Hurts loves his tight ends. We got to feed those guys today if that's what wins, right? And I think we got to look to expose that. Dallas Goedert's got incredible talent. As we heard from Connor Miles on one of the previous shows, Zach Ertz had one of his best camps. I know he's struggling with the hamstring. If he's playing in front of the link, I expect him to go as hard as he can. And I just think people are sleeping on the Eagles' weapons, man. We've seen it, and it's getting more real. And finally, I would just say just a huge barometer game for Jalen Hurts, man. We're going to see what he's about. he's remained so calm, cool, and collected throughout all of his starts so far, throughout all of the turmoil, throughout all of the doubt. And you're going to go against probably the best defense that he's seen so far. So I'm looking for him to just stay consistent, right? Look comfortable out there, like Adam said earlier in the comments. I just want him to get comfortable. And then, we haven't even touched on Nick Sirianni today. This is another step for him. This is a great matchup for him to learn from. Kyle Shanahan, I know people hate on him. He's one of the best coaches in the NFL. It's as simple as that. And we're going to get to see Nick Sirianni go head-to-head with him game plan-wise. And Kyle Shanahan always seems to have a great game plan.
That's really interesting you just brought that up because, the Goddard and Ertz point is fantastic. And Gil brought it up earlier in the week on one of our Faithful Fanatic shows, was that TJ Hawkinson dominated the middle of the field and the San Francisco 49ers defense. Is that a soft spot? Is that a soft area in their defense? Obviously, if TJ Hawkinson can do it, I'm not saying Dallas Goedert or Zach Ertz are on the TJ Hawkinson level, but the two of them combined are highly, highly talented tight ends in this league. They should be able to exploit that matchup today in the middle of the field. The other thing, as far as you mentioned, our weapons, not enough respect. Obviously, Devontae Smith, I'm expecting something big from him today. Like you said, that crowd, dude, if he finds the end zone today, the end zone on a big-time play, that link is going. If there was a roof on it, there wouldn't be a roof on it today after that play happened. The other thing, when it comes to Sirianni's offense, Jalen Reagor, I think, had 6 catches, but he didn't seem too involved overall. Quez Watkins, I think, caught 3 balls on the opening drive, wasn't targeted or caught another ball the rest of the game. We heard all the hype coming in throughout this preseason and training camp about Quez Watkins and the speed. Do we see more of him today in the past game? It's going to be really interesting to see what he dials up today. How much is Kenny Gainwell used today? Do they feed Miles Sanders? I don't know what the plan is specifically, but it's going to be exciting. And that brings me to my next point. Before we get to our score predictions and what we think is the outcome of today's game, Scott, I have 2 points. The progression and the adjustments of Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, right? We already talked about the Falcons game on Thursday show. I talked about it all week long, right? No complaints. Beautiful debut for the two of them. It was amazing. I had no complaints. Test passed. The next step to proving that Jalen Hurts, you're the guy. The next step to proving that Nick Sirianni is a good play caller and head coach in this league is to adjust from week to week. The tape's out now, right?
Yeah.
That was the thing. He kept everything close to the vest, right? No one had any tape on this offense or his game plan and how he's going to use Hurts. Atlanta got exploited. Tape's out. San Fran knows some stuff now. Can you make the proper adjustments from week to week in the NFL? Right? Now that's what I'm looking for today. Do they try to use? I hear a lot of people saying, the weaknesses in this San Francisco defense and this pass rush, I would expect or hope to see Nick Sirianni implement the same game plan he used against Atlanta. Quick hitters, screens, get the ball into your speed weapons' hands.
Yeah.
But they know that now.
Yeah.
So will you see the Eagles take shots down the field? I don't know, but that's the one thing I'm looking forward today is to just seeing the adjustments, the small little things both of these guys do to take that next step into being the guys in this city.
Yeah, and I'm totally with you there. I agree totally with your point as far as addressing San Fran's defense, exactly like Atlanta's. Atlanta has one, obviously not a great defense, but they have one of the quickest and fastest defenses in the NFL. And you saw the way Nick Sirianni attacked that. So he's going to have to do some of the similar things. It's just a matter of how many tricks does he have in his bag, right? As far as that screen game, how deep is that screen game? How deep is that quick hitters playbook as far as the game plan? And I think we're going to see it. Nick Sirianni hinted that he has not opened up the entire playbook for Jalen Hurts, as he shouldn't. He should keep Jalen Hurts comfortable. He should keep, give him a little bit at a time. You don't want to overwhelm him.
Real quick.
But that just lets you know there's more to come, right?
Exactly. So he did a very good job of designing plays and running plays that work well and work with Jalen Hurts' strengths. And that's great. Exactly. But what's the next step when those things aren't available from a game-to-game basis? I'm not saying it won't be available today, but if it's not, can they make the proper adjustments in the play calls and the execution of the plays today? It's going to be something. The tape's out, bro. It's out now. There's no hiding it, right? There's no hiding that game plan, at least. So if it's taken away, hey, Jalen, we need you to expand. We need you to come through with this play, etc. So I'm not saying to go away from his strengths at all. But if it's not there, you got to adjust. And it's going to be really fun and interesting to watch. Scott, I think 30 minutes in before we move on to our entire NFL outlook onto week 2, predictions, man. So, we did it last week. What do you think from a statistical standpoint Jalen Hurts is going to do today?
For us to be successful, for us to get the score that I think we're going to get today, I think, Jalen Hurts, I think he gets over 250 passing yards. I do think he's going to have to go over that mark. Definitely going to have to get some ground, some yards on his legs. So I'm thinking around 250 passing yards, around 40, 50 rushing yards for Jalen Hurts, 2 passing TDs, 1 rushing TD. I think he gets in the end zone today with his legs. I think something's going to break down in the red zone. I think he's going to have to make a play. He's going to have to make a decision. And he's very strong. Like, at the end of the day, he can push through. We saw it against Arizona last year. He's able to get through, arm tackles and get into the end zone. And I think it's smart for him to use his legs today, if he has to. Obviously, we talked about this before as far as discipline. But just to your point about the game plan, it's also Jalen Hurts with those RPOs making the right decisions. He made a lot of good decisions last week as far as when to give it to Miles, when to take it himself. He's got to continue to do that. But as far as his stat line, I'm looking for 250, 2 passing touchdowns, 40 to 50 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown. And I'll go ahead and give you my score now. I got the Birds 24-16. I do not think that San Fran's offense is as good as everybody says it is. Maybe they'll make me eat my words. We'll see today, right?
Yeah, man. So we got Adam 34-31, Eagles, in a high-scoring shootout type of game today. He's got them by 3. I'll give you a little hint. I got the Eagles by 3 today as well, but it's not that high-scoring. However, I think Jalen Hurts is going to have to air the ball out today. So I'm going to say, hold on. All right. Yeah, I'm here. I'm getting static when I talk and you're unmuted. So I'm just going to put you there for now, Scott. I'm going to go Jalen Hurts between 290 and 315 passing. I think he might eclipse the 300 passing yards today out of necessity. I know I said establish the run early. I'm not so sure the Eagles are going to be able to do so. So I think Jalen Hurts is going to have to use his arm a lot more today than he had to last week. I think you're going to see more chunk plays down the field because it's going to be a necessity. So Jalen Hurts between 290 and 315, he might eclipse that 300 passing yard mark today. I'm going to say he runs for 35-ish yards today, and I'm going to say they run another one in with the backs. I'm going to say 2 tutties. Maybe 1 with his legs, 1 in the air, 2 in the air. I'm not sure. But 2 touchdowns for Hurts and a rushing touchdown for the Eagles. I'm going Eagles 23, Niners 20. Birds by 3. 2-0 start to the year, which would make next week, Monday night in Dallas, a whole hell of a lot more interesting. Listen, that's not to say if they lose today and they're 1-1 heading into Dallas next week, it's so early. I'm just saying a 2-0 start, beating a 49ers team that no one really expects them to beat, and then heading into Dallas Monday night, Dallas is beat up. That would be really interesting, dude. So I would love a 2-0 start for the Birds this season, Scott.
Oh, my bad.
No, we did it at the same time.
What I would say, just to counter that, is, don't let these young guys get confidence, man. Do not let Jalen Hurts and this group of cats on offense, some of these young guys on defense, do not let them get confidence. You got guys getting extensions right now that builds confidence. Jordan Mailata, Josh Sweat just got an extension.
Yeah, he did.
These guys are going to play with energy. They got chips on their shoulders. Do not let them get confidence, though. If you're the rest of the NFL, if they start out 2-0, you get a big win against San Fran at the link, right? Like at the link, and then you head to Dallas next week against a beat up team. It's setting up nicely. They just got to take care of business. This division is up for grabs. Obviously, we've seen the rest of the division here, but yeah, you just hope they can take advantage of a beat up San Fran team.
Man, I'm glad you said that because that is the last thing before we move on to our game of the week selections here. Guys, I've said it all week, and I'm standing by it. There's going to be a lot of factors that go into a win today, and one of those factors is going to be Lincoln Financial Field. It's going to be. That place is going to be different today, Scotty. It's going to be different. They haven't sold out the Link in 20 months. In 20 months, that place has not been sold out. Tailgating is back. People are the lots are probably packed by 6:15 this morning. Okay, right when the gates open, everyone was down there. That place is going to be electric today. And I know it's a cliche, it's kind of corny. No, it's going to be different. It's going to play a factor. Get loud and bother the offensive line and Jimmy Garoppolo's communications and his communications with the sideline. Break things down for San Fran and have some damn fun down there at the Lincoln Financial Field for Scotty and I. But yeah, man, I can't wait to hear it. And like you said, if he hits Devontae Smith for a touchdown today, that place is going to fall to the ground. It's going to be nuts, but I can't wait. Man. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to hear it. And let's go Birds.
Let's go Birds, man. I actually am. I'm not going to lie to you. I am headed down there with my mom and my girlfriend.
There you go.
We get off here, so I won't get into all the tailgating and stuff. I don't need to get too hungover for work tomorrow, but definitely we'll be out there, get to experience the crowd, and get to be there with them. So that's the most exciting part. But go Birds! Let's go. It's the time, time to make our name. Maybe national media starts taking us serious if they can get a win today. So,
what did the great Brian Dawkins once say? Give me my respect. That's what he said, right?
You got to take it. You got to take
my respect, bro. Let's go.
Oh, and shout out to my girlfriend's stepmom there, Terry Gantz. She's a big 49ers fan. Thank you for tuning in. Oh, go Birds. You already know. But thanks for tuning in, Terry.
Thank you for tuning in and commenting. All right, Scott. So as you know, we are Eagles fans. This is an Eagles show, but this is also an entire NFL show. So we got some stuff to talk about into a busy full day packed slate of games for week 2. Let's get into our games of the week selections. I'll defer to you, Scotty. What is your game of the week outside of this Eagles-Niners matchup that people should be paying attention to and why?
Yeah, so probably a lot of Eagles fans will be paying attention to this game anyways, but I'm looking at the Chargers and the Cowboys. I think that it's a very good matchup in general. I think the Chargers are a pretty good team. I think the Cowboys are a pretty good team. I believe the Chargers are a 3.5-point favorite, but I'm looking for the Chargers to go in there. I believe it is in LA. So the Dallas Cowboys still might have more fans in LA than the Chargers do, anyways. But that's a whole different story. I'm looking for the Chargers to get back-to-back wins against NFC East opponents, and ultimately help us and the rest of the NFC East out by starting the Cowboys out 0-2. But mostly I'm looking around the game. Zeke, 11 carries last week. You cannot go into this game with Dak throwing 50 to 60 times again. That just doesn't even make sense against the Chargers. This is not the Buccaneers defense. They need to establish the run. Give Dak's shoulder a goddamn break, man. Like, damn. You know what I mean? But I am looking for Zeke to be more involved today. As far as the Cowboys defense, Justin Herbert should have a field day against this defense. You're looking at Keenan Allen, Jared Cook. I'm looking at specifically at Jared Cook, who they picked up in the offseason at the tight end spot. He's a little bit older now, but he's always been a guy that can make plays from the tight end spot. He's done it for New Orleans for a long time. But I'm looking last week at Gronk. He went off against the Cowboys, had 2 touchdowns. Obviously, the middle of their field can be exposed. You saw Micah Parsons out there. He couldn't even find out where the ball was. He
didn't know where he was, bro.
Spinning around in the middle of the field and stuff. So they got to expose him. I expect, Keenan Allen. I think Sam Wagman said it on Thursday's show that he thinks Keenan Allen is wide receiver 1 this week. And I would I don't know if I'll go that far as wide receiver 1, but
I hope
he
so.
is definitely in that top 5 wide receiver field right this week. So against the Cowboys defense, I do look for the Chargers to kind of explode on their defense today. I think the Chargers have a really good offense. You even got Mike Williams on the other side who can make big plays as well. And then Austin Eckler out of the backfield, who's just a versatile back. He can do everything. So that's my game of the week. I'm hoping the Chargers can grab that W for us. And I don't see any reason why they can't. They took care of business against a tough Washington defense last week. Obviously, Ryan Fitzpatrick went out, but it's all about their defense today. They're going to have to slow the Cowboys down. CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper. They're going to have to slow those guys down. So it's an interesting game all around, honestly.
Yeah, man. So the Giants start the year 0-2. Can the Dallas Cowboys start the year 0-2? Definitely going to be tuning into that game once the 49ers and Eagles are finished today. But yeah, you mentioned the Zeke aspect of it, and it's the truth. Like, if Mike McCarthy decides not to get Ezekiel Elliott involved today, Dallas is in trouble. They're in trouble. You mentioned it, and I said it after Thursday's game against the Buccaneers. Dude, regardless of the situation, how good he looks, Dak Prescott, with that shoulder injury, coming off of that major catastrophic injury last year, should not be throwing the ball 50+ times a week. He's going to destroy that man's body, dude. He won't last the season if he does that to him. Secondly, Ezekiel Elliott is not done. He's not washed up. That's a ridiculous stance. Get the man freaking involved. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the running game. Just get him the ball. I don't understand what Mike McCarthy's doing. I understood it last week because you were down early. The Bucs probably had the best rush defense in football. Dak was hot, whatever. But if he does it again today, I think that's very, very telling for how this season is going to play out. But I'm looking at that defense. Because, listen, this Chargers offense is good, dude, right? I'm a Justin Herbert believer. You mentioned Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Jared Cook, Austin Eckler, right? They can put up some numbers. But it's not Tampa Bay with the GOAT and all those weapons, right? So my point is they gave up 31 to Tampa last week. Okay. If they give up points to the Chargers today, you're just proving to me you're the same old Dallas Cowboys. It's two very good offenses, so I know that sounds tough to say through 2 weeks, but it's the truth. You already got 31 put on your heads when you caused 4 turnovers, but whatever. That's the GOAT, a lot of weapons, home opener, gotcha. Chargers, good offense. You get 30+ put on your head again, you're the same damn defense new year. And that's a defense that I don't know how they'll win a division. I don't care how good Dak and that offense is. You're just going to prove that to me. So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing today. And I have Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen in my fantasy league. So see if they can put up some big numbers against the Cowboys.
To your point, just about the Cowboys defense and specifically their defensive line, they lost DeMarcus Lawrence. They lost Randy Gregory. You're looking at a Chargers offensive line that faced Chase Young and company last week in Washington. This is like I don't want to say a relaxing week for them, but they should be able to go out there and handle business, keep Justin Herbert clean if they were able to take care of Washington football's defense. So I'm looking at the Chargers, I'm looking at the Cowboys, and I do think, we're going to see that defense once again. I'm looking at Austin Eckler as that X factor. That's one thing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers really didn't have that, the Chargers do have is that versatile pass catching back out of the backfield. They do have Giovanni Bernard. They didn't use him at all. But you do have Austin Eckler. He's versatile. He can run the football. He can catch passes out of the backfield. He's a quarterback's best friend. He could have a huge game against these linebackers. He could have a huge game against this Dallas defense. But ultimately, if the Chargers can just keep Justin Herbert clean, I think they win the game, honestly.
No, I'm with you. And I do like the Chargers to win today. I kind of like the Chargers to cover as well, even though they're fans. It'll probably be more Cowboys fans than Chargers fans. But nonetheless, my game of the week, Scott. It was tough. Last week, I feel like there was much more of a slate of games. I was like, where do I go this week? I'm looking at, that Rams-Colts game is definitely an intriguing one because of the Carson Wentz, the pick. I love the Stafford fit with the Rams and everything like that. But I'm going to go with a team that looked really good last week, albeit their quarterback is always fantastic in September, versus a team that got their asses whooped in week 1. And if they start 0-2, maybe the hype train left the station too early this offseason. I'm going Tennessee in Seattle. That's it. That's a very intriguing game to me because Seattle's at home. I believe they're favored. They have to be. Russell Wilson is ridiculous in September in his career. Titans start the year 0-1 after getting dismantled at home versus the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray. That offense got behind early. They had to abandon the run. Derrick Henry wasn't involved. A.J. Brown and Julio Jones did not look good in his debut as a Tennessee Titan. That offensive line got beat up by Chandler Jones and company. And that defense gave up, 38 points? If the Tennessee Titans start out 0-2, listen, again, 2 weeks. I'm not saying they're not winning their division. They're not a good team, whatever. But for all that hype we heard all offseason, me and you were saying it too, it's going to be exciting. Derrick Henry, Julio Jones, A.J. Brown. This team is going to be exciting. Ryan Tannehill, MVP candidate. You start the year 0-2 and you lose to 2 good teams in this league. What does that really say about you? And in the fashion that you lost in week 1, if they go into Seattle and get their asses kicked, they're in trouble, dude. So I'm looking for that game, not necessarily from a Seattle standpoint, because I kind of do like Tennessee to win today, but from a Tennessee Titan perspective, because 0-2 would not be the type of start they're looking for.
Yeah, the only thing that could bail them out, at 0-2, and mind you, like you said, it's 2 games into the season, they could easily turn it around. And they are a team that's adjusting, but I'm with you. I was very high on them coming into the season. And, one thing I'm looking at is, like, you can't overcomplicate it for Tennessee. You have Derrick Henry. You have Julio Jones. You have A.J. Brown. Like, you got to make plays happen. You got to put them in situations that they can benefit from. But the only thing that could, like, really, maybe not just make them totally freak out, if they go 0-2 is if the Colts were to lose to the Rams today. Because I think the Colts in that division, it's between them and the Colts this season for that division.
Yeah, you're not on the Tyrod train?
Hell no. No, not at all, man. The Texans, they took care of business against Jags, who I thought the Texans were the worst team in the league. I guess it's the Jags, right? Like I'm not giving too much credit there, but it's between the Colts and the Titans there. And you mentioned it. We were very high on the Titans, and rightfully so, I feel like, on paper.
Oh, yeah.
But, what worries me the most is the defense. Now, mind you, that's Kyler Murray, right? And then this week it'll be Russell Wilson. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. These guys are, top-tier NFL quarterbacks, in top 10 caliber. So take it with a grain of salt. But, yes, they need to put on their playoff hats today. If you want to be a real team in the NFL, you got to beat good teams. You can't just sit there and beat up on your division like the NFC East does, right? You got to beat good teams. And I think this is a good one for Tennessee to make their mark and kind of bounce back this week.
For sure, man. Let's get into a new segment here on Turf Talk before we wrap up today's show with our Pigskin Picks and review last week's picks, Scott. It was kind of inspired by ESPN's own Stephen A. Smith because of, that crazy, ridiculous list he put out heading into the year. And then the way he changed it after week 1, I believe he took the Rams off of his list as a top 5 Super Bowl contenders after the way they look. It doesn't make sense to me. So what we're going to do is every week we're going to update our top 5 power rankings from a week-to-week standpoint here on Turf Talk. Scott, how do you want to do this? You want to start 1 to 5 or you want to go 5 to 1?
Let's go 5 to 1. We'll start 5 and back.
All right, man. At number 5, I'm going to, so the first 4 teams on my list are all 1-0. Number 5 is the only team that did not take away a W last week, but I think they took away a moral W last week. And that is the Cleveland Browns. And the reason is, dude, they continue to hang in there with the best of the best in this league. They had a 9-point lead in the fourth quarter with like 8 minutes to go against Patrick Mahomes and company. If it's not for a prayer ball to Tyreek Hill, and you snap your fingers, and then the punter for Cleveland drops the snap and then gives Kansas City a short field, boom, lead. And then we all saw Baker, go into the ground and try to throw the ball away or whatever, and it got picked. Nonetheless, they stuck in there till the very end against the Kansas City Chiefs. That was in KC, correct? Yeah. They were in Kansas City on the road week 1. So even though they didn't come away with a win, even though they had, it's always tough when you have your shot, when you give your best shot to beat the best, and it's still not good enough. It's like, all right, are we ever really, like, that was our best shot, 9-point lead halfway through the fourth quarter. Can we really beat them? Week 1, no Odell Beckham Jr. yet. Right. Baker looked really good until that last throw. Now, I will say, what was one thing I talked about last week, Scott, when I talked about Baker Mayfield, was if they're going to take that next step, it's not what Baker does throughout a game. It's when it's time to make that throw, when it's time to make the play in a game. Will he and can he make it? He didn't make it in week 1.
Right.
So he's got to work on that. The run game looked really good. Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney in that line looked really good. And if it's not for a prayer ball and a punter screwing up, they might be 1-0 in Kansas City. So I'm going to go with the Browns at number 5.
And they got the Texans this week, right?
Yeah, it's the largest point favorite in Browns either history or in over 20 years for the Browns. One or the other. I saw they're 13-point favorites against the Texans.
Nice. So at number 5, I got another team that actually lost last week. I'm still very high on them. It is the Buffalo Bills. They lost to the Steelers. I don't think that is a bad loss at all. In fact, I toot my own horn here. I did call it, but Steelers have a great defense, and they have an experienced quarterback. They have a plethora of weapons on offense, and quite frankly, the Bills came out a little too pass happy, a little too exposed, a little too undisciplined, and they ended up losing to a good Steelers team at the end of the day. I don't think it was a bad loss. I don't think it takes the Buffalo Bills out of being a contender in the NFL. So I still got the Buffalo Bills at number 5 right now. I still believe in Josh Allen. I still love Stephon Diggs. And I still believe in their defense. They can still get that together. Just got to see them, turn it up a notch. I think they had a little bit of a layover from last season, maybe coming into this season. They just got to, redefine themselves. And this week's a good week to do it. But I got Buffalo Bills coming in at number 5.
All right, man. A team at number 4 for me who was not in my initial top 5 heading into the year, but had such a dominant performance in week 1. And we just talked about it. That being the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray put up MVP-type numbers. DeAndre Hopkins scores twice. Chandler Jones has 5 sacks. They marched down to Tennessee and put a thumping on the Titans in week 1. How could they not be in the top 5 picture right now for you? So at number 4, I can't put them any higher yet. I know they probably had the most impressive performance out of every team in week 1, but for a team that didn't crack my top 5 preseason, I can put them at 4 now after week 1.
Yeah, so I don't think that's a bad pick. Honestly, the Cardinals probably for me right now would probably be at number 6 right behind the Bills, but I definitely understand the reasoning. I mean, to take care of Tennessee like that is ridiculous. Number 4, I'm kind of riding your coattail there with the Cleveland Browns. I got them at number 4 here. Like you said, they led the game the most of the way against, the best team in the NFL, I would assume. So yeah. I'm looking at the Cleveland Browns. Like you said, they got to take growing pains throughout this season, but at the same time, they still have to establish themselves as one of the best teams in the NFL. Good week to bounce back from a heartbreaking loss against Kansas City Chiefs. You get a nice Houston Texans team with Tyrod Taylor, quarterback. They do have to take care of business, right? We watched the Texans come out there and take care of business against the Jags. Browns are not the Jags, right? But yes, the Browns, I'm not losing any sleep over that last week's game. Obviously, as you mentioned, just for their confidence-wise, as far as matching up with the Chiefs, does hurt a little bit when you led the whole way. But they don't have to play the Chiefs the rest of this season until the playoffs potentially. And they just got to move on. They, have a short memory, move on. You're still one of the top teams in the NFL, and I believe that.
All right, at number 3, my NFC favorite heading into the season, the LA Rams. What a debut from Matt Stafford and Sean McVay. That fit just perfectly from the jump. Works together. Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Van Jefferson got open a couple of times. Darrell Henderson was used correctly. The defense looked really good. Jalen Ramsey might be one of the hardest hitting corners I've ever seen in my entire life. Albeit they played the Red Rocket and the Chicago Bears, but they handled them, dude. And that fit looks perfect as I, expected it to be. But the fact that it's that perfect right out the chute is really damn impressive. So I got the LA Rams at number 3 in my top 5.
Yeah, and I love that. Number 3 for me, which, by the way, for the Rams, don't forget D-Jax out there. He's having a good time being, like the 4th or 5th weapon on their wide receiver corps. No, I got Tampa Bay at number 3.
Wow.
Tampa Bay could be number 1, all the way up to number 1, of course. But at the end of the day, they did turn the ball over 4 times against the Cowboys, and that's never appropriate against the Cowboys.
Yeah, sure.
And they were all shooting themselves in the foot. They're all their own mistakes. It was all on them. And I do look for them to bounce back. As I said, they're going to stay in this top 3-1 range all year for me, most likely. But I do have Tampa Bay coming in at number 3 this year, or this week, I should say.
That's shocking to me that you have them there, and we'll get to them in a few minutes for me, but I can understand it. Obviously, when you have, I'm expecting who your number 1 to be is, and where you have the Rams, I'll be looking for if you do have them in your top 2 or not. At number 2, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously could be the best team in all football, best quarterback in all football. Tyreek Hill was a monster in week 1. Travis Kelce was a monster in week 1. They got some things to clean up defensively, but they're so damn good, dude. And how can they not be the favorites in the AFC? Kansas City at number 2 for me. And I really don't think, it's much of an argument whether they're 1 or 2.
No, not at all. And number 2 for me, LA Rams. You were wondering where I had them. And like I said, this will be fluctuating, but just based off last week, I thought LA Rams had a great showing. I know the Bears aren't the world beaters, but they still, have at least a tough defense, right? Maybe not a good defense, but a tough one. And the Rams absolutely exposed them. Matthew Stafford looks totally comfortable in Sean McVay's offense. They got the running game going with Darrell Henderson. And the defense. I mean, they got stars in the right places. You got Aaron Donald on that defensive line, one of the most important positions in the NFL, and he's the best defensive player in the NFL. Then you got Jalen Ramsey in your secondary, who is one of the, if not the best corner in the NFL. And those are the 2 most important positions on defense in my eyes. So I love the Rams this year. I'm with you. I picked them to go to the Super Bowl this year, and I'm going to ride it out, but I might surprise you with something later just regarding the Rams even.
All right. Okay, I feel you. Real quick, before I get to my number 1, 4 minutes ago from Adam Schefter, veteran cornerback Josh Norman, who signed with the 49ers less than 2 weeks ago, is expected to start at Philadelphia today versus the Eagles.
Greg Ward is excited, man.
We will see how that works out.
Oh my goodness,
for Josh Norman and the 49ers. Who knows, dude? Maybe he'll flash back to 2015, 2016 Josh Norman. But we'll see. Number 1. Listen, I fully hear your argument for number 3, and it's fluctuating, right? It's a week-to-week thing, so I don't want people getting carried away with, oh, you don't have this team. Well, depending on how they looked the previous week, that's where I'm going to have them, right? Tampa Bay Buccaneers are number 1. They're coming off a Super Bowl championship. They are 1-0. Until they're knocked off, they're going to be my number 1. I get the hesitancy. I get some of the plays. But you mentioned the turnovers, and I get it. But the fact they turned the ball over and shot themselves in the foot 4 times and still won the damn game with Dak playing the way he did, I think that might be more of a testament than the 4 sloppy turnovers, because that's not going to happen. We talked about the Browns and the Chiefs. The Browns shot their best shot. They took their best shot, and it still wasn't good enough. That's the same thing like with Tampa Bay. Like Dallas literally did what you would think would be the hardest punch Tampa's going to take. They took it on the chin, and Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, drives them down the field for a last-second field goal win, right? Like, they're number 1 to me until they're top dog until you beat the top dog. And that's why I have Tampa Bay at number 1.
Yeah. And, I can't even argue against that, honestly, because I'm going to use the same reasoning for the Kansas City Chiefs as my number 1. I'm looking at a team that's been a perennial contender for the last 3-4 years. Patrick Mahomes, basically, he has his way against AFC quarterbacks, aside from Tom Brady for the most part. But no, the Chiefs, they had a resilient win against the Browns. That was a game they had no business winning against one of the best, if not, the best contender in the AFC, against the Kansas City Chiefs, number 2 as far as contenders in the AFC. So I'm looking at the Chiefs. They were able to come back in that game, a game where the Browns led the entire way. Chiefs just remained resilient. Patrick Mahomes somehow makes a play to Tyreek Hill. Somehow Tyreek Hill gets behind the defense. Somehow, it's not. It's
185 yards later, Tyreek Hill still behind the defense.
It's ridiculous. He's throwing up peace signs every game, it feels like. And it's just ridiculous. It seems unstoppable. Travis Kelce's still in that offense. And they just keep adding young, fast talent to the offense as well, And then they built up that offensive line to be durable. So I'm looking at the Chiefs as the number one, but as far as numbers 1 through 3, pick your poison,
I
right?
think that's
They're
probably
great
the
teams.
common thing here for us is those 3 are the top 3 teams in the league.
Yeah.
And it's who comes after them. And then when they give them your best shot, I think 3 is changeable. Like I like the Rams. I picked them to get to the Super Bowl this year, but I think 3 is changeable depending week to week situation. 1 and 2, I foresee being 1 and 2 for quite a while. Right. So like put it this way. If the Chiefs win this week and the Bucs somehow lose to the Falcons, the Bucs are just going to be number 2. Like they're not going to drop down.
They're not going to drop out of
further
the
than
top
that.
5.
So,
yeah, I feel that.
yeah, man. But to wrap up today's week 2 edition of Turf Talk, let's get into our Pigskin Picks. Scotty is 2-0 coming off of an undefeated week 1. He's actually 4-0 all time this year, being 2-0 on Thursday Night Football as well. I went 1-1 last Sunday with my lock and upset, and I'm 2-0 on Thursday Night Football. So right now, Scotty's got me beat out 4-0 to 3-1 on the year in picks. Like he mentioned it earlier, his upset of the week, the Pittsburgh Steelers outright over the Buffalo Bills. Came through in a big way. Who was your lock last week?
49ers over Lions.
49ers, yes. And I had the same. I had the 49ers. And then
we might have the same one this week, too.
Carson Wentz and the Indianapolis Colts did not come through for me. It was my upset pick over the Seattle Seahawks at home. So that's why I went 1-1. Scott, I will defer to you. Let me get your lock of the week first before your upset.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, we may have the same one. I'm going Tampa Bay over Atlanta.
Okay,
that's my lock. Tampa Bay's 12.5-point favorites over Atlanta. Last time I checked, Tom Brady had his way against Dallas. Atlanta may even have a worse defense. Maybe. I don't know that for sure, but I expect Tom Brady to have his way against his team. But I'm just looking at certain things like, can Atlanta get Ridley involved? Can Atlanta get Pitts involved? Can they get something going? They didn't get anything going against the Eagles last week. And then I'm also looking at Tampa Bay, just the wide receiving core, just for fun. Is AB wide receiver 1 in Tampa Bay? Is that the real deal? I'm looking to see.
Yeah, man, I love it. Obviously, I think that's a lock as well. But I'm going to go a different route. I'm going with the Cleveland Browns over the team we probably thought was the worst heading into the 2021 season, that being the Houston Texans. So I got the Browns. I'm not going to put money on it, but I think the Browns do cover today. I think they beat the dog shit out of the Texans, especially in the fashion that they lost last week. Like I said, the punter mess up, Baker throws a pick falling to the ground. I think they take it to the Houston Texans.
What's the point spread in that game?
13.
13, yeah, they could cover for sure.
I think they will. But I'm not. That's not my lock. Isn't the cover. My lock is money. It's just the pick. Browns over the Texans. Scotty, this is where things get interesting, my dude. What is your upset of the week?
I'm going out on a limb here, man, and this might be your way, to catch up, get back into the game with me. I'm going the Colts over the Rams, man, and I don't know.
Last week.
I know I'm going right. I'm like falling right into the trap that you fell into last week with the Colts. And I'm just looking, it's just a gut feeling I have. I feel like they match up really well for some reason, just because the Colts have a really good offensive line. Quentin Nelson, if there's anybody that can kind of handle Aaron Donald, it would be Quentin Nelson, I would imagine. So I'm looking at the Colts. Obviously, it's going to depend a lot on Carson Wentz. He's got to play well against his team, not turn the ball over. But then Jonathan Taylor, will they continue to use him in the passing game? How much will they use him in the run game? I'm looking for the Colts. They need to get a W here, just similar to the Titans, just like going 0-2 for the Titans. That the Colts don't want to go 0-2 here when they're trying to make a trip to the playoffs and contend for a championship this year. And their defense is good. They do have a good defense. Obviously, they lost, Jonathan Gannon. We got to pick him up last year, but they kept their defensive coordinator. They still got a good defense there. Frank Reich has to put together a good game plan here. There's a lot of Colts fans. I follow a lot of Colts fans on Twitter. A lot of Colts fans are questioning Frank Reich and his play calling and his game planning. So I'm looking for a bounce back game from the Colts here. And I believe the Rams are 3.5-point favorites. I'm picking the Colts as my upset here, and I'm taking a risk. I can feel it.
Dude, you even hinted At my upset of the week is, what is that? Telepathy? What's that word here? I'm not the brightest person on this show, but I think that's the correct word here, Scott. My upset of the week. Please don't bite me in the ass. The Tennessee Titans in Seattle over the Seahawks. I just don't think they can afford to start 0-2 again. You start 0-2, it doesn't mean they're screwed, especially in that division with Houston and the Jags down there. You don't know what you're getting in Indy. Even if they start 0-2, Indy has a very good chance of starting 0-2 as well today versus the Rams. So it means nothing for the Titans as a season perspective, but I don't know, dude. I just don't think it would be a good look with all that hype. And if all that hype comes with championship type of aspirations, and if you can't beat, two good teams in the Cardinals and Seahawks, then you're not a championship contender. Like the Cardinals are a very good young team. I don't think anyone foresees them winning a Super Bowl this year. The Seattle Seahawks are still a very good team. I had them finishing 4th in the NFC West. So if you're supposed to be a good team and you can't beat other good teams, maybe you're not that good. Maybe the hype never should have been there. And I just think on paper, it's there. So get Derrick Henry the damn ball early. Don't allow yourself to get down and he's ex-nayed from he's not involved in the game plan going forward. Just get him the ball from the shoot. Let him beat up the Seattle linebackers and get into the secondary. They're not going to want to tackle that man all game long. Then guess what they got to deal with if they're trying to tackle Derrick Henry for a half of football? Then they got to try to tackle Julio Jones and A.J. Brown's big-ass wide receiver bodies down the field as well. That's how Tennessee will be successful. Don't allow yourself to get down 17-3 early, and Derrick Henry can't be a factor anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm going with the Tennessee Titans in Seattle. So, yeah, man, it'll be interesting. Can I catch up to Scotty this week? I would assume both of our locks are locks for a reason.
Should be good.
And
if they're not good, then these teams are in trouble if they're losing to those bottom figures. But
it's going to come down to the upset.
As far as your upset, I just wanted to comment. The Titans, I totally 100% agree with you, and I do feel like they can beat the Seahawks. I don't see any reason why not. But the one thing they have to acknowledge is that there is no break in between the Cardinals' plethora of weapons between DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, AJ Green out there, and then, of course, Kyler Murray. You got Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett today, Chris Carson. So got to put your hard hat on, play some playoff football, win a game against a good team, prove you're a good team, right? A lot of people are selling the farm on the Titans after last week's performance.
That's what I'm saying, dude. But like I said, if you have all that hype in the offseason and you're considered a good or great team, and you can't beat other good or great teams, maybe you're not so good or great yourself.
Yep.
And I think that will be a wake-up call for Tennessee this week. And it's not going to be easy over there in Seattle, okay? But it's probably got to be done. So Scotty's got the Indianapolis Colts taking down one NFC West team, and I got that's funny. AFC South taking down an NFC West team. I got an AFC South taking down an NFC West team.
And they both need it.
They both definitely do need it, or both could start 0-2, and who the hell knows what happens in the AFC South. Scott, is there anything else that I'm forgetting before we wrap up today's show?
No, man, I think we covered it all. Obviously, we went through some technical difficulties.
Yeah, I'm still hearing the static, so I promise we will try to get this figured out.
We will make sure we get that figured out next time. I appreciate everybody that stayed with us through that. I know it's definitely not the entertainment you were looking for, but we were able to get through the whole show, get through our segments, and that's what it's all about. We're just here to provide content. But definitely thanks for sticking with us. And all I got to say is go Birds.
Oh, Birds. Guys, you can catch us special edition of Turf Talk tomorrow, hopefully, with Niners reporter Jordan Elliott. Hopefully we got some shit to talk. Hopefully we're not receiving that other end of the stick tomorrow. And then, of course, this Thursday on Turf Talk, we are have another special guest lined up, getting you ready for Thursday Night Football at 7 p.m. right here on DSM Media. And you'll catch us right here at 10 a.m. every Sunday for the entire season right here on DSM Media. For myself, for Scotty, that is going to wrap up today's episode. Go Birds. And guys, have yourselves a day. Scotty, go enjoy the game, my dude.
I am going, man. I'm happy to be there. I'll be texting you the whole time, though.
Yes,
I'll keep you
sir.
updated on what's going on, man.
Have a great Sunday, everybody, and go Birds.
Go Birds!